Hi, happy Friday. So I'm on the floor because Dave's on the couch. She doesn't care. Do you, Dave? That was a good stretch. That's the thing about Dave. She's a good model for not giving a fuck because she doesn't give any. Doesn't care at all about anything. I actually, a couple of times now, I've sat on her to try and get her to move. Doesn't care. And yes, there's plenty of more room, but that is actually my spot. I thought if I sat down here, she might feel guilty and leave, but I should have known better. Anyway, so what was I going to talk about today? Oh, so, she is moving. Good girl, Dave. The other day, I think it was about a week ago, maybe a bit longer, owed somebody dinner. So took him out to dinner to somewhere in Denver. It's like their favourite steakhouse place, whatever. And we had dinner. And afterwards, it was about, 9 o'clock. And he said, oh, do you want to go, do you want to go out for a drink? We'd eaten dinner. And he's like, do you want to stay out? Do you want to go out for a drink? And I was like, because I like to go to bed. As far as you've eaten dinner, you're lovely food, happy. I was just like, I've got to go to bed. I've never been able to sleep in. I hate staying up late. I can do it, but I have to psych myself up. I need about a month's notice for going out and staying up sort of past midnight. Really need to psych up for that. So anyway, the thing is that until that moment, it hadn't even occurred to me that could be a possibility. And the reason for that is because of COVID. We've been in lockdown, which many aspects of I've quite liked. That being one of them. Don't have to go out to bars. I can just stay snugly in my own home with Matt. Love it. Love it. We have everything that we need right here. So I'm always just been really enjoying that part of lockdown, not even feeling any social pressure to have to do anything. And don't get me wrong, I do like to go out from time to time, but a lot of the time I just like to stay in. And that got me thinking, because then I had to sort of be like, there are other things as well. Like, I hadn't locked the chickens up for one, and that is a really old granny type of excuse not to go out, but I literally had to get home and lock the chickens up so a fox or a coyote or a raccoon didn't get them. And so that was the excuse I made. But it got me thinking about how maybe I know that some aspects of COVID and lockdown and all of that have actually been helpful for people in recovery. And not having social pressure is one of them, the big one of them. Not having to, you can be in recovery, you don't have to care what anybody else thinks. It's just that part of it being removed, physical, and because we've still got social pressure from social media, but the actual physical social pressure of seeing people has been removed due to COVID. And for many people, especially those with things like compulsive movement and other habits that may have been environmental, because we've all been in lockdown, it's been easier. For example, gyms haven't been open, so you can't go to the gym. And I think also, now that we're moving, most of us, not all of us, some countries more than others, but I don't know, the US wasn't even we were in lockdown for a little bit, but nothing like Europe. And that's not because we shouldn't have been. I think it's just because government were too scared to try and make people do lockdown. Anyway, that's completely beside the point. The point being that different countries are in various degrees of lockdown, and so you might be emerging from a lockdown. I think if you're in Italy, you might be going into another one, but I know that in the UK, sort of starting to come out of lockdown and all of that stuff. And I know that for a lot of you in recovery, that's going to be yay, and then also a feeling of dread. The feeling of dread that you're going to have to see people again that you haven't seen for ages, and your head will start going crazy with all projecting onto them that they're thinking all sorts of things about any weight that you might have gained. I promise you that they're not. They're thinking about their stuff. They're probably thinking about the spot they've got on their nose, and that you're thinking about the spot that they've got on their nose, but you're not. You're thinking about your stuff, because that's always what it is. Whatever we have an insecurity about, we project that everybody else is thinking about that thing about us, but they're actually thinking about their own insecurities. So everybody coming out of lockdown is going to have social insecurities, because not having seen people for a long time. So just bear that in mind. When we have an eating disorder, we do tend to make the world revolve around us. It doesn't, and everybody else's world is revolving around them and their shit that they've got bringing to the table. So that can be an element. And then also the other element is the temptation element. Gyms starting to open again. If you've had a compulsive movement issue, lockdown can have been helpful with that. Lockdown for some people has been the excuse that they needed to get them to stop going to the gym, stop going out running and all of those things. And they felt that they've had permission to do that whilst we've been in lockdown. Well, I'm giving you permission right now to continue doing that. And I'm actually forbidding you going back to the gym and getting sucked back into that, because before you know it, you know what will happen. If the gym starts to open, you get your gym membership back, you know what's going to happen. You know, don't you? So don't do it. There are going to be lots of pluses for everybody coming out of lockdown. Of course, the food element. There's going to be stuff will be open again. You can go out. You can challenge all sorts of things by going out and eating. Definitely do that, but there's going to be some things you're going to have to put the brakes on. And most of that's going to be movement related. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments as to if you're coming out of lockdown, what do you feel excited about? What do you feel, oh, good, I'm going to get to challenge myself on that thing. Maybe it's going to some burger restaurant that you haven't been able to go to because it's been closed. And what things are you slightly apprehensive about? So what worries you about coming out of lockdown? Maybe it's seeing people that you haven't seen for a long time. Because just get it out in the open. Whatever's in your head, rattling around in your head, I think a lot of the time, if you get it out in the open and say, this is what I'm worried about, you'll suddenly go like, oh, that's not such a big thing. Things always seem so big when they're in your head. And then when you write it down or you say it out loud, you externalize it, it doesn't seem so big. And I'd be interested to see, I imagine that we'll probably find that quite a few of you are worried about the same thing. And I hope that those of you that are properly in recovery are excited about the same stuff as well. Anyway, so it's Friday, and due to my area coming out of, I can't remember what we were on, something like you couldn't have gatherings of, oh no, we have just come into a phase where you can have outside gatherings without masks on. And so at the farm today, we are having our first happy hour of the year. We usually have a happy hour every month, which basically just entails all of us getting together and getting happy, drinking too much. And it's lovely, but we don't have to wear masks this time, which is probably the first time in a year. And actually, pretty much all of us, everybody I know in this area has had their vaccine, at least the first one. It's been amazing. Jab, off you go. Yeah. So it's actually going to be a happy hour where we've got something to celebrate. Plan on doing that. I hope you guys have a good weekend too.